guys, Alex Apple, joined by Jeremy Clark today here at Amon G. Carter Stadium. Just wrapped up Gary Patterson's press luncheon where he talked about Texas Tech, a game just over 48 hours away, a Thursday kickoff this week. Gary said one of the things he likes, no time to linger on past successes or past failures, no time to talk about this week. The game quickly is approaching. One of the things that he said that TCU fans have talked about in the last 48 hours, offensive play calling. He says now with just Trayvon, for better or worse, no Casey, it's Trayvon's job. The offense will be able to hone in on just one game plan, and that's putting Trayvon in a position where he can succeed.
Which should make every TCU fan ecstatic, especially the naysayers of Casey. Now, let's be honest, Casey has struggled a little bit so far that we've seen him this year. He wasn't seeing the field as good as he was, and that's not a knock on Casey. It's, you're away from football, you're going to have trouble coming in right away and having success. But Trayvon, not having to worry about Casey coming in, spelling him or anything like that, I think he's going to, have a good game. I think for him to come out there the way he did against LSU, Southeastern Louisiana, the offense saw a spark when he was in the game. There's no doubt about it. I think it's big for the offensive coordinators to not have to worry about utilizing two game plans for the Texas Tech game. I think TCU fans should be pretty excited about it. And I know Gary, you can see his mannerisms on the podium today. He seemed pretty excited about it as well.
I think he feels good about it. I think he feels good about the plan that the offense has going into the game. One of the things he was saying at the end is TCU's not gone in pads this week. He said that he talked with Kyle Whittingham, Utah's coach. They used to play a lot of Thursday games, had a lot of success. He said shorter practices, don't go in pads. That's one of the things Gary says he feels like has actually helped his offense get more fully prepared. You can tell with Patterson that this game means a lot to him. Texas Tech, the Texas Tech rivalry is something that he thinks a lot about. He said today that they recruit against Tech, maybe Baylor a close second more than any other school. He talked again about the 70-35 2004 loss.
He didn't want to.
And then the 12-3 victory when Gary Patterson was able to come back totally with a new defensive game plan and shut down Mike Leach's offense. Do you feel like this game, maybe even more than some others, now he would never say it, means a lot to Gary?
I think so. The generic answer that we got from Gary, Jason, and Joey,
just another game.
It's just another game.
Right.
And let's be honest, it's not really just another game. They take the one game mentality. That's fine and perfect, but looking at the paper clippings each week from Lubbock, this is a big game for them. They're having the blackout. They know what kind of volatile situation they're going into when they get to Lubbock. This is going to be a big game for bragging rights. There's obviously a lot of heated discussions between the recruiting battles. You've seen TCU go head-to-head with so many. Sorry, we got the golf cart
That's
guys
all right.
driving back. But we got recruiting battles with several key recruits that they're going after. And TCU's already winning the battle right now, but this game has big implications. I even asked Gary in the press conference about it. What does this hurt or help the recruiting factor if they go up there and win against Texas Tech, or if they lose? And hopefully, his answer was, you hopefully see a recruit that looks beyond just the one game and it looks at the greater scope of things as far as other factors that would key into their decision as far as location, academics, and so forth. But I think this is a big game, not only for bragging rights. You obviously start the season off with a 1-0 record, but you also get to sell to those recruits, hey, we beat Texas Tech head-to-head.
But Texas Tech starts a true freshman walk-on quarterback. Baker Mayfield has played anything but true freshman walk-on like. They also have Jason Morrow, a very good tight end. Baker Mayfield has shown a propensity for getting the ball out of his hands very quickly. Jeremy, how do you stop a guy like Mayfield on the inside, Ward on the edge, and a quarterback that's straight up getting the ball out of his hands before any pass rush can really even get off their blocks?
Well, one thing that I mentioned on our board is that I'd like to see TCU press their receivers. If there's one thing about a quarterback that gets the ball out of his hands quickly, he's throwing to a spot.
Right.
So if you're pressing those receivers at the line of scrimmage and he's having to throw to a spot, that receiver is either A, not going to be there, or B, he's going to have a bad throw. He's going to hold on to the ball and you're going to let your pass rush get to him. I think that's a big thing with a guy like Jason Barrett. A guy can log down one side of the field against Texas Tech. If Kevin White can step up like he did against LSU late in the game and play like he did late toward the end of the season, because they're going to throw at him.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, they're going to throw at Kevin White. They're going to throw at him vertically. They're going to throw the quick screens at him. They're going to throw the jailbreak screens and everything else at Kevin White. And they're going to pick on Jason a little bit too. But the best way to get rid of a quarterback that's having success in that dink and dunk type offense, put a press on the receivers. Don't let him get open and don't let him have a spot to throw to. And Devontae Fields coming back, the pass rush is going to be improved. Obviously, I know that Texas Tech has never seen hasn't seen a defensive line this talented and this strong early in the season so far.
Man press coverage, you live and die with it in the 4-2-5. It's not really anything TCU has to change. Let's talk about our key players to the game. You talked about it a little bit, what I was going to say. Kevin White, I think he's key to this game. People have shown that they're not going to throw at Jason Verrett any more than they absolutely have to. He's a phenomenal player. Gary said it today. He doesn't have to have 6 to 8 interceptions again this season to have huge impacts on the game. They're just not going to throw at him. A lot of times his receiver isn't open anyway, so that's a smart decision. Kevin White's going to be key for the Frogs in this game, shutting down the opposite side. He's going to face some of the more speedy receivers with Verrett matched up against Eric Ward,
Bradley
the more
Marquez.
physical guy. Marquez is a guy that is very shifty. They run a lot of the bubble screens to him. They run the jailbreak screens, which Gary said is almost more of a run. They just want to get the ball in a playmaker's hand. The onus is on Kevin White and then also the linebackers to clean up, make tackles, and just limit the big plays. If you limit the big plays, make kick field goals, I think TCU can be successful.
I'll go one step further and stay in the secondary, but I'm going to go with the safeties. As you mentioned, Jason Morrow is having a huge year. Gary mentioned in there. He's a first or second round top pick. There's not very many guys out there that are 6'6", 250 pounds that can run down the field like he can. So I think it's going to be a huge game for Sam Carter, Chris Hackett, and Elijah Oleboat. If I was TCU, I probably wouldn't put Elijah on Jace just because there's a noticeable size difference. Not saying anything bad about Elijah, but when you have that kind of mismatch, they're going to attack it. And one thing that's been pretty evident so far with Texas Tech, Baker Mayfield's crutch right now is Jason Morrow. When he gets in trouble, he's going to Jason Morrow 8 out of 10 times. You've seen it in the SMU game. You saw it last week against SFA. When he has a rush coming at him, any semblance of a pass rush, he's going to Jason Morrow because he's going to make plays. So the big play guys, for me, have to be Chris Hackett, Sam Carter, Elijah Oleboat, and I'll go even further and say Jonathan Anderson, like you mentioned, and Marcus Mallett. Those guys taking away the inside passing game. We haven't talked about him, but Jakeem Grant is a guy that, just like Scott Dawson, take those little swing passes. And he did it last week against SFA. He's a player that can catch the ball, take off, and be down the sideline in less than a second. He's a guy that can turn a 2-yard slant into an 80-yard touchdown.
And
So
he'll
you gotta
line up
watch
in the
him.
slot also against TCU
Exactly.
safeties, or, you didn't mention him, but don't forget Derek Kindred. Some 4-1-6 you could definitely see in this
Right.
game, I think.
A West Virginia style defense.
Where TCU only uses one linebacker, I think that Jonathan Anderson fits well in this game. He's a speedy linebacker that can also make plays in the box. That's why his development's been so key for TCU.
Right.
He's really done a good job so far. Basically, if you got anything from this past segment, the onus is on the defense a lot in this game because they're going to stop a Texas Tech attack that has had a lot of confidence.
As we've seen, Texas Tech hasn't seen a defense like TCU. They also haven't seen an offense like TCU. Let's remember, they gave up nearly 400 yards passing to Garrett Gilbert and SMU. So they're susceptible to give up big plays over the passing game. So I look for TCU to try to attack that, get their outside receivers involved, for crying out loud. Darius Brown, Kobe Listenby, Jawan Story, use those big body fast receivers, get them involved in the game. They had a little bit last week against Southeastern Louisiana, but they've got to get those guys involved. They've got to stretch the field and make Texas Tech loosen up a little bit. But I foresee a nice dosage of B.J. Catalon and Raymond James coming their way.
Guys, stay tuned to Horned Frog Blitz for our predictions later in the week. We've already posted the keys to the game that was posted last night. Check those out. And also Jeremy's opponent breakdown coming later in the week. Always great content. Lots of good things coming from there. For Jeremy Clark, I'm Alex Apple. Thanks.